My name is Alan Juba. I am a principal at MKW Associates. We are a landscape architectural firm based in Rutherford, New Jersey, and we are in Jesse Owens Playground right now, first week in May basically. This is a project that my firm has done with the New York City Parks Department. It was in design back in 2014 and was constructed and opened about 3 years ago or so. And it's the first time I've been back since the ribbon cutting of the project, and it's really, really great to see how things have grown in, how well used the project is, the amount of people who are here on a warm, sunny day is really, really gratifying. A playground and then this open space is really sort of a great equalizer. No one is barred from coming here. We are hopefully on the tail end of the COVID-19 epidemic, and I think people have really seen how important outdoor space is. Whoever is in the neighborhood or from afar is able to come here and use all the facilities that are here, such as a running track. We've got a playground for older children. We've got a playground for smaller children. There's a play area also, and there's even a swimming pool that we are hoping will be able to be open this summer as well.
Can you explain your design process? Was the community involved in any way?
The community was definitely involved in the design of this park project. Before we even put pencils to paper, a meeting was set up with the surrounding school and with the surrounding community as well to let people know that there was a meeting that would occur at night. So there was really good advance notice given, so people were available to attend the meeting. We were very, very well attended. If I remember correctly, we had to have close to 3 or 4 dozen people who had an interest in the playground here. And we presented some design ideas, some thoughts about what a running track could look like, what play equipment could look like. There was an existing swimming pool in the park. It was an above-ground swimming pool. At the time, it was very, very difficult for people who were challenged physically to use it. So those were some of the comments that we heard back from the community, and in consultation with New York City Parks Department, we put together some design ideas for how we might arrange the park. The park was originally areas and areas of asphalt pavement. Not much planting, but what plantings we did have is a framework of existing trees. All of the large trees that you see in the park right now, as you can tell from their size, those had to have been planted 50, 60 plus years ago or so. And we were able to maintain all of those in the park design, and it really gives us a great feeling of the park being here for a long time with the new plantings underneath. It was constructed over a period of about 12 to 15 months or so, and we are seeing the results of that right now.
Are there city contracts for like landscape structures that you have to deal with?
In working with the New York City Parks Department, they have sort of a range of standard materials and suppliers who they like to work with. We were working with a play equipment manufacturer by the name of Landscape Structures, as a matter of fact. They are very well versed in what the current codes are for playground design, because as you can imagine, there are a lot of safety issues that need to be built into the design of new playgrounds, but they're incredibly helpful. We also look to incorporate in our play structures and our play equipment, both for older children and younger children, pieces that are accessible to children who are physically challenged. So kids who may be in wheelchairs, for example, have some degree of interaction with the play equipment, which is out here.
The first handicap accessible playground for all children.
That's correct. That is correct.
Landscape structure is you give them a color palette, and then they'll give you design based on that color palette you give them.
The color palette is actually one of the last things that we actually select. The way in which we work with a vendor such as Landscape Structures is after we come up with a design, an overall design for the playground, where we define certain spaces, such as the playground, we look at that space where benches are located, where plantings are located, and we will give that spatial requirement to someone such as Playground Environments who's designing the playground. And there are certain fall zones that we need to accommodate so that if someone falls off of a piece of play equipment, they're not falling onto a bench, for example, and hurting themselves. They're falling on top of the safety surface, which is throughout the play area. So it's really up to us to define what the space is that the play area will occur in, and then we'll work with the vendor to see what we could fit into that space.
Do you revisit a lot of the parks you design after they're built, or come like months or years later to see how they're doing?
We try to get back as often as possible. It's sort of that one step in the design process that as designers is known as the post-construction evaluation, where we'll go back to see how the materials are holding up. Is the maintenance that's occurring on the project adequate? And most definitely, it really looks quite good here.
How does it feel to create a space for children's memory?
I think that's what's so great about parks and green space is that it can be so fundamental to the way in which children and their memories and their relationship to the outside world evolve. I know just from my personal experience, from a young person, really being interested in the natural world, helping my grandparents in their garden, and just trying to be outside as much as possible, not just into plants, but also into insects and bird life and things of that nature. Something that we did on this project and other similar playground projects at the time was to develop these areas called rain gardens or green infrastructure. This is an entirely new planting bed. And the excess water that comes off of the pavement and the synthetic turf, what little there may be coming there, all goes to this rain garden. So this area has very permeable soil in it. It has plants that are able to withstand that periodic inundation. And what it does is it allows the excess stormwater that may happen during a rain event to gradually get percolated back into the ground, rather than just being conducted off of the site in stormwater pipes, for example. Some of that happens, but we're able to capture and allow to percolate into the existing soil by the use of these rain gardens here. Similar to the edge along here where the basketball and handball courts are, we had a similar condition here where we just had granite cobble tree pits around these existing London plains right up to the chain link fence. We were able to eliminate those and replace them with new plantings, and you can see the seasonality of the plantings. There are hellebores that are just kind of finishing up blooming right now. There are some viburnums just coming into bloom. All shade tolerant plants doing very, very well in the conditions that present themselves here. I really think that this sort of a project where we've been able to eliminate so much of the existing pavement, so much of the hardscape, as we call it, as landscape architects, and incorporate plantings is really important. But there's so much happening here on so many different levels. You know, there's the planting, and some people may be into it, some people may recognize that. Other people may come here for the running track or the play equipment or the swimming pool. And what's so great about the program that's been established for this park is that it's multi-layered, that it's accomplishing these various different things. So the appeal is very, very broad. And then I think the memories and the way in which people interact here are very, very broad also.
What about Jesse Owens? Did you take the fact that it's named after Jesse Owens into consideration?
There wasn't a running track here whatsoever. This whole area that's sort of in front of me was all asphalt, that type of thing. We felt it was really important to get a running track in here to acknowledge the name
I think it
of
honors him.
the play space. Exactly.
And I have one more question. What's your favorite feature?
My favorite feature of this park, oh my goodness. Jeez, that's I like the running track, the play equipment, the spray area, but if I really had to pick a favorite, I think it would have to be the swimming pool that we were able to incorporate back into this playground area. Part of the reason for that, I think, was how difficult it was for us to get various approvals from the city in order to do so. So that was the one part of this project that was the most difficult to achieve. And I guess for that reason, I think I regard it as one of my favorite elements here. The fact that we were able to add that back in and replace the existing swimming pool that was here meant that we were able to, give the community what they wanted. If I had to pick sort of a favorite end result, I think that my favorite end result is that we were able to give the community back a new play space, a new playground, a new swimming pool, and really, I think, exceed the expectations that they had in the overall space.